istighfar and do tawbah before the holy month of Ramadan. Similar to how when you wear ihram to go Baytullah and you do ghusl and you clean yourself. Similarly, you have to wear ihram to walk into the holy month of Ramadan as well. So dear brothers who are here today, try to make some time to do istighfar before the first of Ramadan, before the moon is sighted for the month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah, we'll speak more about the holy month of Ramadan in the next khutbah, inshallah. And before I do end my khutbah, I would just like to say that we must really focus on self-purification. We must focus on self-purification, cleansing our nafs from the haram that we've committed from the previous year, from all of the sins that we have accumulated from the last year and we have imposed it on our own souls. We should try to get rid of that before the holy month. Believe me, Ramadan is a tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every single person does not have this tawfiq to enter the holy month every year. We may think that yes, we are young, we are enjoying life at the moment, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me unlimited amounts of time. No. Every Laylatul Qadr, everybody's destiny is written. Everybody's fate is written, whether they will see the next holy Ramadan or not. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you this tawfiq to see another holy month of Ramadan, which is all of the nights are the best of nights, the days are the best of the days, the hours are the best of the hours, then surely it's an opportunity. Then surely it's an opportunity given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not to be taken granted. So this gives us a large space to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to do the shukr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He allowed us to see another holy month of Ramadan. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا مضاد له ولا شبيه له، الذي ليس كمثله شيء، والحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا ولم يكن له ولي من الذل وكبره تكبيرا. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا وحبيب قلوبنا والشفيع أمتنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين، وصل على وصي رسول رب العالمين إمام المتقين أمير المؤمنين مولانا علي بن أبي طالب. اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على قرة عين رسول الله وبضعة رسول الله فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. اللهم صل على اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على الإمامين السبتين الرسول حسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. اللهم صل على اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على الأئمة الهدى والهداة الأخيار والأئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف الصالح المهدي. اللهم صل على السلام عليك يا بقية الله في أرضه، السلام عليك يا تالي كتاب الله وترجمانه، السلام عليك حين تقوم السلام عليك حين تقعد السلام عليك بجوامع السلام اللهم عجل في فرج مولانا صاحب الزمان وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره والمستشهدين بين يدي اللهم انصر من نصره واخذل من خذله وأيد جيوشنا المسلمين أما بعد أيها المؤمنون أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله. In the second sermon, dear Ikhwani, my brothers who are here today, I would like to advise myself before I advise anybody else to practice piety, to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Certain places and certain times that we have inside of this world, they become the specific station of the rizq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For example, if I try to plant a seed of fruit within inside a soil that has potential, it will grow multiple seedlings. But if I try to place the same seed in a different place where the soil does not have potential, where the area does not have potential to grow this fruit tree, then it would not grow the same as that place where it would grow multiple seedlings. Similar to this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed certain times and areas where the rizq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is received trifold, where multiple seedlings of rizq can be seen growing within inside of this time and place. Certain times and places Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted to us in this world where it is a place of the sustenance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our soul and our nafs, they grow during these times. And I'll give a few examples here. For example, when we recite Salat al-Jama'at inside of home, instead of reciting Namaz al-Furada, this is a place where insan, he sees a growth in his soul. He sees that his soul becomes elevated. It becomes more, there's more rizq in his life when he does Jama'at at home. If a person attends a Jama'at inside of a masjid, this is another place where he sees barakat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is another place where he sees the sustenance of Allah. Or when somebody recites Namaz al-Jama'at inside of the haram of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. This is another station of sustenance. This is another level of growth within inside of our nafs. So every single station and place in this world, there is a time and place where the rizq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been bestowed upon. Now, when we go towards these places, we feel like as if we are feeling blissful. If anybody over here has been to the ziyarat of our ma'asumeen alayhimus salam, we realize that once you enter into this shrine, and when you leave the shrine, you are somebody else previously, and you are somebody else after you've left this holy shrine. Because these are the places where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He sends down angels. This is the place where the rizq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is being distributed. Along the sites of where the ma'asumeen are buried, these places are holy places. So certain times and places Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created as a place and a station of sustenance. One of the places and times where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created it as a station of barakat, a station of His rahmat, is the month that we are walking into, the holy month of Ramadan, the month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Holy Prophet of Islam sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he delivered a sermon in the near end of Sha'ban where he stated, Ayyuhan nas, innahu qad aqbala ilaykum shahrullah bil barakati wal rahma wal maghfirah, that the month of becoming a guest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has arrived with mercy and blessings and forgiveness. In our riwayat it is stated that on the first night Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives everybody. He forgives all of the mu'mineen for all of the sins that they have committed. Just in this first night Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives everybody. So one can reach the highest levels of faith during the holy month because he is free from all of the impurities of this world during this holy month. One can reach a maqam close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a highest maqam that a ghayr ma'soom can reach. Specifically for the person that adheres to the wilayat of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu salam. Allahumma salli ala. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed your heart with this nur of wilayat, and He has forgiven you for all of your sins, then this soul has only growth towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because through this wilayat, the path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enabled. Without this wilayat, the path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is disabled. There is no path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This wilayat of Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam within inside of us is the special reason to why we have the sirat towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which is why the Prophet stated, As-sirat huwa Ali ibn Abi Talib. That this path of guidance, this path of hidayat, is Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam. So in the holy month of Ramadan, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has cleansed your soul, He's taken your soul away from all of the impurities, then surely the path towards Allah, the growth of our nafs towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the growth of our soul to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes that more existential. If we have a look, if we recite chapter number 1 of the Quran to chapter number 30 in any other month, Shawwal, Muharram, Safar, Rabiul Awwal, if you recite this Holy Quran from front end to back end, it has a lot of thawab, surely. But in the holy month of Ramadan, if somebody recites just the verse of Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, it is like as if he has completed the entire Quran. Somebody recites one verse of the Holy Quran, with just one verse of the Holy Quran, and it is as if he's completed the entire Quran from front end to back end. This is the place of the sustenance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the place where we should take advantage. It's almost like as if there are certain fruit trees in this world. Just give an example over here. You have to climb all the way to the top to take its fruit. But there are certain fruit trees in this world that are lowered down and you can pick them easily. The holy month of Ramadan is like that fruit tree, which is like in heaven where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُطُوفُهَا دَانِيَةٌ, that when you enter into paradise, the fruits will be hanging so low that you wouldn't have to reach. You would just have to pick them and take them and enjoy them. Similarly, the holy month of Ramadan is like this fruit tree that is lowered down, and the fruits are blessings. The fruits are maghfirat. The fruits are rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that can be picked and taken very easily. So we should be taking advantage of the holy month of Ramadan. We should be taking advantage of the holy month of Ramadan. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. This holy month of Ramadan is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran into this world. هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ وَبَيِّنَاتٍ. It is a guide for mankind. مِنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ. Ramadan is the differentiator between haqq and batil. This is what the Quran is saying. هُدًى وَرَحْمَةً. Min al-huda wal-furqan, which is why you see, dear brothers, a lot of non-Muslims, they align towards fasting during this month. Non-Muslims fast as well. They respect Ramadan because it is a call towards guidance. Ramadan is a call towards humanity. Ramadan is a call towards equality, towards justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ramadan is a call of the society that has been weakened by the rich, where the rich stand on the weak's back and they enjoy their lives. But Ramadan states that the rich and the poor, they come together on one sufra, on one tablecloth, and they enjoy iftar together. This is the equality and justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ramadan becomes that symbol of justice within inside of society. This is where Islam becomes a beacon of hope for the hopeless around the world. It becomes a shelter for those who are in need, a strength for the oppressed people around the world. The fazail and the attributes of Ramadan, dear brothers, are beyond buffets and luxury restaurants and having fine dine meals outside. Ramadan's fazail are somewhere else and we are somewhere else. We do not understand the fazail of the holy month, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated, Laylatul Qadr khayrun min alfi shahr. It's better than an entire lifespan of the hereafter. 80 years. If you multiply that by what one day is, comparison to the hereafter, 56,000 years of this dunya is equivalent to one day of the hereafter. So in essence, Ramadan is better than 4 million years of this world. Ramadan is greater than what we can imagine. It's beyond what we do with inside of this holy month. But I would like to say that fasting from dawn to dusk, ye jo roza rakhte hain hum, fasting from dawn to dusk, if it does not allow you with this hunger and thirst and weakness that you have during the day, if it cannot give you a slight understanding for those who do not have food or do not have water, then I'm doing something wrong with my fasting. Then I've not clearing the purposes of the holy month of Ramadan. The reason to why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered us to fast is so that we can feel the hunger and pain of those who are less fortunate. Ramadan is the call of the oppressed. Ramadan is the slogan for the oppressed. Which is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us to and made it obligatory upon us to do this fasting. Otherwise fasting was just for the Anbiya. But it was blessed upon the ummah of the Holy Prophet of Islam sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. At the end, fasting dehydrates your animalistic side. It dehydrates your animalistic desires and it enlightens the soul and it elevates the soul of yours. It dehydrates all of your animalistic desires. This purification process is so that you can differentiate between haqq and batil in this dunya. Therefore, if the holy month of Ramadan does not allow you to think about the mazloom, about those people who are less fortunate around the world, then we should think about another religion. If my fasting is allowing me to just think about recipes and which restaurant I'm going to attend tonight and what am I going to eat later on, this is not what fasting is supposed to be allowing you to do. Fasting is supposed to allow you to become generous. Fasting is supposed to allow you to think about those people who do not have bread and water to eat and drink tomorrow. They do not have iftar, they do not have suhoor. Right? There are people like that, many people like that around the world today. Salawat. And at the moment in Gaza, there are 500,000 people at the moment who are starving. They do not have basic needs for drinking and water and food. They do not have enough bread to eat in the morning. And I was reading a report that many of the children of this area of Gaza, they are just fainting because they have nothing to eat. And I think to myself sometimes that do we live under the same sky? Do we live in the same dunya where this oppression is taking place in the world? Where children are walking around trying to find flour and pick it up and take it and put it in their pockets so they can take it home and bake bread. What kind of a dunya do we live in? Where this is still happening, where this genocide is still taking place. And the report states that children do not have enough drinking water. We cannot imagine this because we live in such luxurious lives. We cannot imagine any of this. We cannot even feel their pain for a second. That is the truth. But Ramadan is the month that arrives that allows you to think about these things, that can enlighten this thinking of ours, that can enliven this dead soul of ours, where we can think a bit about the hungry stomachs of the children of Gaza, for example, the hungry children of Sudan, for example, the hungry children of different parts of the continent of Africa. This is why the holy month of Ramadan, this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it wajib upon us to fast during this month. At the moment, we can see that 31,000 people almost have been killed during this entire time. Without any justification, without any remorse, this blood has been shed. There will be a day where the justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be implemented in this world. We have hope in Imam al-Zaman, Ajjallahu ta'ala Faraj al-Sharif. Salli ala. We may think to ourselves that why is Gaza repeated every single week? The answer is that we do repeat Gaza every single week because Juma is the platform for the voice of the oppressed. For those Muslim around the world, Juma is the place where this is supposed to be addressed And inshallah we will continue to address this until the genocide in Gaza comes to an end, inshallah. We send our salams upon Baqiyatullah, the remaining of the Ahlul Bayt. We send our salams to our Imam, who is present amongst us today, but we cannot see him. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahumma ajjil li waliyyika al-faraj, waj'alna min a'wanihi wa ansarih, wal mustashhadina bayna yaday. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفر إنه كان توابا. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.